Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Raven Rabbit Wellness Studio podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jackie Cope, and I'm here to talk to you about all things life, healing, and happiness with the spiritual indigenous approach. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of Raven Rabbit Wellness Studio podcast. What is practical mysticism? I've talked about my path to metaphysics, but I haven't really gotten into what is metaphysics and what is practical mysticism. That's the practice of metaphysics. So today I really want to get into what all of that means. So before we get started, I'd like to say an invocation. Dear Creator, please make me a pure, incorruptible channel of loving, healing, divine presence, and provide me with all the protection, guidance, and wisdom I need. Only allow the divine and healed to be present with us here today. And so it is. So this is episode 13. We are going to get into what is practical mysticism. And more basically, what is metaphysics? Because it's a term that gets thrown around there a lot. It is really all-encompassing. It is so many things. Like I've told you before, if you've been listening or if you're new, I do have my ordained minister in metaphysics. And it is just something that I am so passionate about. It's definitely the thing that I felt was missing most in my spiritual religious practices. And it has just changed everything for me. So what's really important when I get into this, because I have lots of things I want to share with you as we grow and learn through this podcast, but we do need to start with the foundation of what is it all? It's a word that really gets thrown around a lot today. We hear about metaphysics shops. They could have a whole slew of things in those shops you can go into. But at the end of the day, what it is and what metaphysics represents is the highest quest of human growth and awareness. It's really truly each and every single individual's spiritual path and journey. There are many qualities of mysticism that I want to share with you today from my studies in metaphysics. One of the first ones I've learned in my program is when you start doing practical mysticism, you are truly in search of your ultimate self-reality. You're going to find relationship with man, woman, the spectrum of gender, mind, the universe, and for me being native, that extends further, Mother Nature, Creator. So you're really finding that self-reality. The next thing that's a quality of mysticism is you're going to go on the journey. It's not for me to say. In my book, it's posed like this, and it's so nicely discovering if there's a supreme, universal intelligence or God, creator, that resides at deeper levels in our human mind. So to each their own, as they go through practicing mysticism, you will come to your own answer to that. So I can share my experience, and my experience is just that. It's just mine. Getting in touch with the supreme universal intelligence or universal consciousness has lightened my life. It has brought clarity, more self-security to me. And I do truly believe that it all resides in our minds and that we have access to it anytime. Another part of practical mysticism is, like I just said, making that direct contact with the universal mind, universal consciousness, Creator God, and you do that through meditation. Meditation is a really big part of metaphysics. It's the whole foundation. If you've been on the fence about meditating or you don't know where to start, I do have an episode about meditation. You can listen to that. But just type into your Spotify account or YouTube, use your discretion, be wise as you do it, and find guides to help you meditate. A lot of them are called clearings or processes, so those are really good to help you get started. As you get stronger, you can definitely just conduct your own. Those processes, though, are great to lean on, especially when we're talking about how fast life goes and how fast-paced we are. Sometimes we need that in the background of some of the things that be going on, like you're doing dishes, you're taking care of the kids, you're driving your car. You can be listening to these processes and clearings and practicing meditation in a light way while you do those things. So making direct contact with the universal consciousness, with Creator. If you're lean more to the Christian side, we call that prayer in Christianity. So it all goes together. We just have different terminology to say the same thing. Another important component or quality to practical mysticism is then experiencing this presence. You start to know your universal mind. You start to know Creator. You can feel their existence, and you know that they can be contacted at any time. And that's really, once you've established your meditation practices, you can tap into that at any moment, at any time of the day. You can be at the line, at the coffee shop, what should I eat? And you can tap in and intuitively and talk with the Creator and make those decisions. Those are just some simple decisions. You can also sit down, have a very serious meditation time, and start tackling some bigger issues in life as to who you should be in a relationship with. When you're making a big purchase. So that direct contact and sitting in the presence of Creator and listening is really strong in practical mysticism. Now these next three I'm going to go over are the innate part of practical mysticism. So I'm going to read it from my text here. Bringing forth into the conscious mind, and surface daily life the creativity, attributes, and power of the universal mind for the purpose of improving life through the application of practical mysticism. So I kind of gave that example when you're making a decision. That's the application of it. You need to tap in, hear what universal mind has to say, and then apply that. And when you start to do this in your daily life, creativity and power will just become abundant around you, because you're making sure you check in with your higher self and the higher universal mind, and you're making sure all your decisions and choices are aligned throughout your day. It becomes a normal routine once you start doing this more consistently. The next one is being guided from within. All one does in the daily life through an intuitive ESP, so that extrasensory perception. Metaphysics, typically, we all believe in that sixth sense. We know there's more than what meets the 3D, what you can see with your regular eyes. There's more to it. A lot of people call it the unseen. I like that. It's a good way to describe. So using your intuitive ESP to tap into that unseen and using it throughout your daily life, and always constantly checking back in. And that's being a practical mystic. And the last one here in my list that I've been studying is synthesizing the functional mind with the creative intelligence of the universe, and therefore being able to create the life that one desires. So that gets really deep into your thoughts and your thought patterns, the things that you are thinking and feeling, and the vibrations that you hold will start to create the life that those thoughts are. So you need to be careful, because you can have desires, but just because you have desires doesn't mean that they'll come to fruition if your thoughts are in alignment with that desire. We have to make sure our thoughts, vibrations, energies, that those are in line with our desires, so that we can start creating the life that we truly want. I've been using this in my daily life since I started my studies. It has helped me make decisions more rationally. I take a step back. I'm making more decisions from an aligned, intuitive perspective rather than out of emotion and rather than out of logic. Because I have shared before, I'm in the education sector. I was an educator for 12 years. I am now the director of education for a tribe. So logic and academic knowledge is very important to me. So for me to come out and say I don't always use academic knowledge to make my decisions is quite out there, but it's important. I definitely make intuitive choices throughout my entire day in my professional career and in my personal endeavors as well. I'm constantly checking in with my higher self over every decision that I make, especially in my Raven Rabbit business. From the flooring that's on the ground, to the colors of the walls, to the products that I'm going to make and sell, and to the services that I want to provide. Everything I try to do in alignment with Creator. And if things get off track, because I am human, you just check back in and adjust. I know I'm not going to get this all right from the beginning. Like I said, this is episode 13. I'm still new. I know way down the line, I'll look back at these episodes and I know I'll see growth from this point on. But you have to start somewhere. And that's the point here too. If you're curious about getting into practical mysticism and metaphysics, you have to start from somewhere. So, how is mysticism practiced? The main practice in mysticism, as I've said, is meditation. If you're new to the subject of mystical meditation, it's a type of meditation where one attempts to make direct contact with the intelligence of the universe. There's many names for this. Universe, universal mind, mind of God, God mind, higher self. It's just that connection to the higher and the divine. And you're doing that in a spiritual sense. So for me, I used to pray all the time. And so it has really shifted how I do that. And somewhere in here, in all of my studies, it talked about the difference between a prayer and a meditation. I'll try to do it the best from my memory here, from my studies, because I don't have that open right now. A prayer is a request. And that's exactly what I learned while I went to Christian Bible studies. You give prayer requests. They're things that you would like and the things that you desire. And you speak them out, you request them to God, and then you just kind of leave it there. It's like, that's it. That's the end of the line. Mystical meditation really gets deep into thought patterns, energy fields, and believing and knowing that whatever it is you're praying for is already yours. So it's no longer a request, it is an affirmation. And so that's why I've said I use so much affirmation work now, because I'm speaking it as my truth when I say an affirmation. And well, in the 3D world that we're in existence in, it may not be the exact truth yet. In my mystical world, it is. And I like Like if God gave you the idea, gave you the seed, it's already possible. Like the thought was implanted. So if you were implanted the thought of, so easy for me, I want to start a business. Back then, I want to start a business. That thought was implanted. Well, if I just go and pray and say, I'd really like to start a business. Please help me start a business. That's just a request. Now, if I go into my meditation, I'm going to go in with different thoughts. So, for example, I'm going to say in my meditation, I have an abundant, fulfilling business. My business brings joy and happiness to those who decide to come to my business. I attract the right clients at the right time to receive my products and services. So we're not doing a prayer request. I'm saying exactly, and I'm affirming exactly what I want so that it happens. And it's already happening. I've already just spoke those 3, and I know the universe is at work making those happen. Because it's very true. And things with my business just kept falling into place as I affirmed these things, and opportunities have come up from them. And it's been quite a ride. Once you let go and let intuition and universal mind, a lot of the sayings is let go and let God. That's definitely part of it. But you have to have the right mindset for that. You can't let go and let God and then turn around and say, it's okay if it doesn't happen, and then talk it down. You have to absolutely 100% believe that it's already yours and you already have it with the things that are implanted in you. So, we were talking about how do you practice mysticism, and so we had to talk about the difference between a prayer and meditation. So in these meditations, you are making that direct contact and you're having a conversation. A prayer request sometimes can be a one-way thing. Not for all people. Some people make a prayer request and they hear an answer back. They're going to be more intuitively inclined. Some of us don't always get that. So with meditation, it is a conversation. And there's a lot of ways that conversation can happen. You could hear it, see it, feel it. Those are getting into the clairs, which I need to do an episode about as well. So, how is mystical meditation accomplished? This is how it's suggested in my program to start your practice. You can do it however comes to you. The best thing too about metaphysics is you do what intuitively is being called for you. So here's a guideline. Each day for 20 minutes to an hour, you can even do 5 minutes. Go into your mind. Not to think, not that logical part I was talking about, but just to release your everyday thoughts. So that whatever consciousness is at the deeper levels of the mind has a chance to surface and then become apparent to you. So when I started this, I think I started at 15 minutes and I quickly grew out of that and I went to 30. 30 was a really good time for me. 30 minutes, I go into my mind, I do my meditation. And once you do clear your mind and you're not thinking about all those, I learned this from my therapist, all those ruminating thoughts, your subconscious can then have a chance to come to you. A lot of times we don't give the time to our subconscious that it deserves to help us sort out our issues and things, our healing, our shadow work. We need to let our subconscious come forward. And it needs to become apparent to us. That's the downfall of our fast-paced society. So you're being very intentional when you do this meditation to go into your mind and let your consciousness come to you at a deeper level. When we start doing that, you're going to start getting in touch. There's lots of names for this as well. Your second mystical sight, your third eye. So one of your, maybe you're clairvoyant, you're going to start seeing, feeling, hearing the things that need to come to you. And you'll find your second sight. Your mind will begin to see itself. And this is where I did a ton of my healing work. Like I've talked about before with Raven Rabbit, it's life, healing, and happiness. That healing piece can take a lifetime, and that's okay. And the way we can work on that healing is making sure we're spending time with our third eye to look into so many things. Once you've opened your third eye, it's just abundant, the amount of things that can come to you. You could do healing work, shadow work, inner child work, astral plane work. There's so many things that can start coming forth through the third eye. Those are some things that have happened to me, and there's more than that. So, it's very important to definitely work on your intuition, your third eye, and to start seeing these things that are being brought forth in your meditation. So in a past episode, I talked about how to meditate. I went over those steps. The time, using drums, like a drum beat, flame, gazing when you're using a candle. There's a lot of things you could use. Crystal ball gazing. You can make a little space for you. I told you mine's at my end of my bed. I sit there on a big body pillow. It's comfortable for me. You need to be comfortable clothes, be comfortable in your body, and step into it. You can go listen to that episode. But what I want to talk about more so is like, why? Why do you go through all those steps? What are you trying to achieve? What are additional things that you might see and come up? So when you're deep into your meditation, the first few times, maybe a whole lot won't happen. But we have to learn to start shutting down that busy brain. Once you start quieting the mind, you might start seeing, feeling, hearing different things. So one of them in my studies has taught you might see a variety of religious symbols, and that's totally normal. You might see a cross, you might see a Star of David, you might see the color purple, because I know that relates to Jesus. There's like just a whole slew of things. The infinity sign. Lots of things you could be seeing in your meditations. If you keep seeing something, definitely start reflecting on, why am I seeing that? What is it trying to teach me or tell me? And look into that. I don't see a lot of symbols, so I don't have an example to share like from my life. Symbols are not something that have come to me quite yet. It says to think about where these symbols originate from in the first place. So that always helps too. Like, know the history of that symbol. Maybe you need to go do some history lessons behind that and understand why it's coming up for you. You might start seeing Christ-like images, or what you perceive Christ to be like. And don't be startled if you see those images, or what you perceive to be Creator. You have to note that you've gone beyond the ordinary awareness of the human mind, and now you're stepping into that, what Christ referred to as kingdom of heaven. And so that's just the biblical reference of it. But in my Native American, it's like stepping, what my mom would call like the happy hunting grounds. You're going beyond that like 3D existence, and you're stepping into a spiritual existence. So you can see so many things. When you're in that spiritual realm, that land of the mystic, you're going to be viewing different facets of the universal mind and the God mind. I have seen several ones. I've talked about in my animal episode about going into lower earth, finding my animal, and then ascending up into higher realms. There's so many things to go and explore. You also might see an inner light. This one I can speak to more too, because this is what I often see. It can be astral light or it can be the light. So here's the difference. The astral light may be limited in its perception, in as much as you have a sense of personal selfhood, like knowing who you are and your higher self. I think I see the astral light a lot. Mine is hot pink. It's kind of just where I start my meditation. It's like me entering into it. So I see that astral light, I'm entering the astral plane, and that's where I'll be. Now, there's the other one, that's the light. This is what mystics are striving for when we meditate. In the experience of the light, which it did happen one time for me, all sense of personal selfhood vanishes and is replaced with the universal consciousness and that oneness of the universe. There's no sense of your physical body when you're in that light, just oneness with what only can be comprehended as inner light. And so that happened for me one time deep into my studies of my bachelor's program, where I was studying opening all channels. And when I did all the meditation, did the steps, and I envisioned opening all the channels, and that rainbow of light that turns white comes down in through me, that's where I had the light moment. So after you've experienced, or maybe you saw symbols, whatever you experienced in your meditation, you need to continue to meditate for about 10 more minutes. Look into your mind's eye, your third eye, and then start to come out of your meditation. What I keep next to me by my meditation area is a little notebook, and I will write down these things. And there's been a few times now at this point I've not written it down, and I kick myself over it because it was such a beautiful message, and I was like, what was that message? Obviously it was only meant for that time, and I don't need to remember it, but it would be nice to remember. So keep a little notebook, write down what you saw, who you met, what you heard, what you felt, what you smelt, anything like that came up during your meditation, because it could be anything. And don't discount anything. I even said smell. You might smell something. Maybe you smell your grandma's cookies. I don't know. It all can mean something though. So don't discount any experience you have while you're meditating. There's not just a one way or one thing you're looking for. That's again opening up all those channels and being ready to accept whatever may come through. And what does come through is what is meant for you. Creator's not going to give you something that you're not ready to handle. Like, the thing that comes forth is going to be what you're ready to heal or work on at that time. It's all divinely timed. So, meditation is really important to practical mysticism. It's something that is within you. Everyone can do this. You don't need to go to an expert to do it. You don't need to feel like an expert yourself to start or to continue. We all have access to this. In practical mysticism, you're going to learn to use the ultimate power and intelligence of the universe to improve your daily life. Ever since I've started doing this, my life has improved drastically. I went through a hard stint there at the beginning of this year, professionally. And I went to therapy too. You got to use all of the things. But if I didn't tap into my meditation and guidance, I'd probably still be stuck swimming trying to figure out what to do to get out of that situation. So it's not to say that if you meditate, all your desires and dreams are going to come true and your life's going to be perfect. The hardships are still going to come. The difference is going to be how you handle those hardships and how you see yourself through to the other side. Because I know for me, in my past behaviors, that falling apart and having complete meltdowns and the depression was a part of how I functioned. It was how I lived. That's just how I figured life was. And not to say that I didn't experience that this year, I did, but boy, I came out of it so much faster and with more clarity. And I wasn't stuck there forever. I was more disappointed in the system rather than blaming myself over the situation that had happened. So it definitely gave me the tools I needed to handle really hard situations. I really hope this encourages you to start your meditation practices or continue them. Even if your meditations might not feel super strong or these revelations every single time, it's okay. Some of them are just going to be routine. That's how life kind of is. Life can get sometimes a little mundane. The point is to continue that practice and to keep connected so that when things get highly emotional or get hard, or as we go with the ebb and flow of life, you always have your meditation practice to fall back on in all of your times. So that was a little bit about what practical mysticism is, how you do it, and why meditation is so deeply connected to it. I hope you found the episode helpful. If this is something that really interests you and you want to learn more about this or get guidance specifically to your situation, I am available for spiritual coaching, life coaching, card reading, Reiki healing. Just go to my website, reach out to me, find me on Instagram, and we can get you started on your path in solving the things you're working on. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I'm excited for you as you continue or start your journey with metaphysics. If this podcast helped you out in any way, you got a good story out of it, you enjoyed it, it maybe enlightened your day, please share this podcast on any social media you have. Let your friends know about it, your families know about it. That is the best way to thank a podcaster and small business owner. Share away.